Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to take a moment of your time. My name is Bree Burks, and I am part of the Site Solutions team here at Viva. We are partnering with Black women in clinical research and my friend Danielle Mitchell in two ways. First, we're partnering to provide awesome career opportunities. Look out for upcoming lunch and learns or visit careers.viva.com to learn more. And second, to make you aware of a free application available to sites. SiteVault helps CRCs and CRAs work better together by helping sites go paperless and provide a great remote monitoring experience. It's great for sites because it can be used across all studies and it's 100% free. There are no strings attached. And Viva provides validation and support from a dedicated team of former clinical research professionals. It's great for CRAs because it provides a seamless experience for remote monitoring with a single login across all sites. SiteVault is connecting more than 5,000 sites on the same platform used today by more than 400 industry sponsors. Tell your sites to learn more and to sign up at sites.viva.com.
Thank you so much for joining. My name is Danielle Mitchell. I'm the CEO and founder of Black Women in Clinical Research. Tonight, we are going to be talking about clinical research consulting. And before we get started, I would like to introduce my co-host, Andrika. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Andrika Thomas. How are you all tonight? Hope you're doing well. I am currently a project manager. I also do interview prep and negotiations for Black women in clinical research and all of the marketing as well. So happy to be here tonight. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Andrika. And Courtney, are you available?
I am available. I'm traveling right now, but hello, everyone. I will be stationary soon, but I am Courtney Smith Troxler Barnes. I am a fairly, well, not new anymore. It's been a year now since I've been a member in Black Women in Clinical Research, and I have just entered into clinical research professionally within the last months now. So thank you all. I'm glad to be here and glad to be experiencing this with you.
So Courtney, you said your title too?
I did not. I am currently a clinical research associate apprentice with PPD, part of Thermo Fisher. And so I've been doing that for the past 8 months, and I still have about 5 more months to go before I am given the stamp of approval to be a CRA1.
Well, congratulations. We know you got this. So I would like to introduce our speakers, Andrea Durham. And if you would like to, oh yes, you're on mute.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Andrea Durham. I'm based in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I am currently the owner and founder of Durham Research Collaborative. I've been in research for about 15 years. So just here to chat with you guys. So
thank you so much, Andrea. And Kenyatta Sims.
Hello, good evening, beautiful people. And my name is Kenyatta Sims, and I am based in Chicago, Illinois. And I have been doing clinical research for about 18 years. And I primarily work at the site level. And I am the owner of Clinical Research Consulting. And I've been doing that for about 1.5 years now.
Thank you, ladies. So we are going to go ahead and get started. And so tell us a little bit about your educational background. If you want to dig a little bit deeper, I know a lot of times, people like understanding your journey. So if you can tell us, your journey, how you started in clinical research and what even inspired you to be a clinical research consultant.
I'll go first.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee, and education's always been very important to my family. So growing up, I was always in honors programs, optional programs, went to public schools, but those public schools would usually outperform some of the private schools. Went on to graduate from Rhodes College in Memphis. Got my BA in urban studies, and that's interdisciplinary. So it's sociology, anthropology, history, political science. Then went on to get a master's in public health from UNT Health Science Center after I had moved. And so just education has just always been really important to me. And so beyond the degrees, I also have my CERCLA certification, which some of my previous employers always pushed. And then I'm not even sure how I found out about the PMP certification, but recently in January, I secured that certification as well. I do know how I found out about that. I found out through networking. Somebody in my network was trying to secure it, and I was like, oh, sounds interesting. So that's kind of my education background in a nutshell.
Thank you, Andrea, for sharing. Kingetta?
Yes. So I started my my college career at Knoxville College in Knoxville, Tennessee, went all the way across the US. And like Andrea, my family is very big on education. I'm a third generation teacher on both sides of my family. And my parents went to Knoxville College, so I decided to go there as well. It's an HBCU. And I majored in English literature because I wanted to be a teacher, and I did that for years. And then I wanted to find something a little more. So I went back to school and got a bachelor's in organizational management and a master's in organizational management. And that really started my career in clinical research. I actually came in to just organize and manage the department from a strategic standpoint so that they could grow. And then I, of course, fell in love and stayed. And that's, been 18 years now. So that pretty much is my educational background. I also hold a certification for coordinator, which is where I started once I decided to take a deep dive into research through ACRP.
Thank you. And congratulations, Andrea, for the PMP. I know that is a huge milestone. I know that involves a lot of studying. Andrika also has her PMP as well. So I know when she was studying.
It was not easy.
She was like, Danielle, I can't talk. I gotta study. Like I'm gonna have to chat with you later. So yes, kudos. And so I don't think we really dived into this. What inspired you to become a clinical research consultant? Or what was it? A lot of times too, I feel like people have that pivotal moment. What was your moment when you said, I'm going to become a clinical research consultant?
I can go ahead and go first.
Okay.
I decided to be a clinical research consultant because over the years, as I was working in Chicago, I relocated to Chicago primarily to work in clinical research, doing HIV and AIDS and other infectious diseases clinical trials. And I kept getting calls as years would go by. I was meeting and networking with people, and they always needed help at the site level, like either starting up or getting prepared for an audit, or they needed to have different ways to enroll patients, diverse patients, or they needed to close out, or they had, abrupt issues where, maybe it was one coordinator and a PI, and the coordinator abruptly left. So they needed help kind of putting things in place, hiring new folks who were qualified. And that really continued out through, the past 11 years. And then I decided to make it official probably about 6 months before I left my last position, which was director of clinical research at one of the largest LGBTQ healthcare centers in the Midwest. And I decided to kind of just jump out there on my own. And it was really, honestly, after meeting you, Danielle, and really talking about, really talking about how you had this vision of Black women in clinical research and you just did it. And so I am definitely a planner, a overthinker at times. And I was like, well, she just did it. Like, let's just do it and make it formal. And, you know, I had already set up the LLC. So I definitely just decided to jump all in. After being in a position for a few months that I didn't feel was a good fit for me, I decided to just go ahead and full blaze, you know, start consulting and really working with sites because that's what I love to do.
That is amazing. I know we had sat down for breakfast and that just makes me feel so good. I'm so proud of you for stepping out on faith and to bet on yourself. I think that's the best thing that you can do. And when you're going through the entrepreneurship, you have to, you know, tell yourself, I can do this. And a lot of times if you put it out there, you say, I got this plan, I'm gonna do it, and not, you know, not give up. And I think that's what's really important. So, oh, you made my day.
Well,
Okay.
you definitely made mine.
Oh, okay, thank you. And Andrea.
Sure. So for me, I am based in Dallas, Fort Worth. So I don't know if you guys know about the landscape in Texas and how business friendly it is, but there are entrepreneurs everywhere. So just being inspired by my network to just branch out on faith, you know, started looking at attending SCORE workshops. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but essentially it's all these executives and entrepreneurs that have retired. Now they give back. So they try to fill their time by mentoring up and coming entrepreneurs. So use them to kind of guide me. But then when I was monitoring for one of the top CROs, I would often come across independent CRAs and just kind of pick their ear. They were quite eager and they see me working. So CRAs, we kind of pick up on who would be a good fit, who would be able to make it out there in the industry on their own. So we kind of pick up on work ethic and do they know what they're talking about? So I guess, you know, I take advice from them as well. But what really inspired me was the lack of diversity in the physician population, which is a key indicator of how diverse the patient populations are in the clinical trial. And the one instance that I'm thinking of, it was an asthma study and no African-American physicians. We had a lot of African-American CRAs, so I just unscientifically pulled them. And if we're all dealing with 12 separate investigators and none of us have a Black investigator, you obviously figure out, you know, oh, okay, well, lack of diversity. And then you look at the patients, lack of diversity. So that was something that really stuck with me. And that was kind of early in my career. And I really didn't have, I guess, the faith and the courage and the confidence to step out. But I chose to start my business in 2020. I mean, that was after I'd been with that CRO for about 5 years and just really, really honed my skills, really gained some confidence, knew that the companies that I was working with had confidence in me. And so I used that to step out on faith. Also, because we were in the pandemic, I knew I could always go back and secure another, you know, job with another company if things went south, but they haven't gone south yet. So those were the things that really inspired me. And the one last thing that really inspired me was the fact that there are tax benefits to being your own boss. I remember the first year I couldn't deduct my student loan interest because I had achieved a certain, income level. And that really, really irritated me. So when, as a CRA or in being a clinical research professional, as you get on in your career, your income does increase. You can have a 6-figure income. And with that 6-figure income, you have to have a certain strategy on how to maximize your tax benefits. So those are the key things that inspired me to start my own business.
Thank you for sharing. I definitely can see the similarities, you know, stepping out on faith and believing in yourself. So that is definitely important. And please mute your mic if you are coming in. So let's dive into, I know we already talked about this, Kenyatta, when you said that you've already had your LLC, but Andrea, when you were mentioned, how did you set up your business?
So I also set up an LLC. I used the workshop I took at SCORE to basically file it myself. I didn't use any internet company, no third party. I did it all myself. I do file my taxes as an S corp.
Okay. Okay. And what about you, Kenyatta? I know you had touched on it before.
Yes, so because of my education, like Andrea, I was able to complete the information myself and not, use a third party vendor and make sure everything was in place. And so that was beneficial. And I haven't filed, I filed separately for my LLC, but as an LLC because I've still in the last year had income from working. So there, that had to be added a little differently. But next year, I will be looking at various options to have better tax benefits. And so one of the things that I did was reach out to a financial planner that I know to help me to organize and see, what ways I could get some tax breaks, including student loans. A lot of us have them, and it's very important to be able to utilize that interest. And I kind of ran into that same brick wall where you're like, oh, I don't get any credit for this. And so that definitely makes you change your mind about, what you're doing and where you would like to go with it. So.
Yes, I did my own, when I set up my own LLC as well. So that is because a lot of people would try and charge you a lot of money, and it's really simple to do, just when you go to the website and you don't need anybody to do it for you. So that is some good information too, and especially with the different tax. I think it's important to have a good tax man or tax woman. But yeah, to avoid any type of, because a lot of times you're not aware, and you need a professional when you are starting your own business, because you are doing so much with your own business. You need somebody else that can help you when it comes to your taxes as well. Let's see. And so also, how do you differentiate your business from other clinical research firms? What are some of the unique qualities or services that you offer to your clients? Andrea?
Okay, sure. So for me, I just run my own race. I'm of the school of thought that comparison is a thief of joy. I can see people on LinkedIn and meet them at conferences, but I know what's key for me is my experience level. I've served as a study coordinator. I've served as a CRA, a CTL. I know that many people go through their research careers and never undergo a sponsor audit, never undergo an FDA inspection. So I use those experiences to increase the confidence that companies and clients have in me, because I know what I'm talking about. It wasn't always that way, but through my experience, I've just gained that confidence. Also, my work history speaks for itself. I've worked for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. I've worked for UT Southwestern and Baylor. I worked for Covance for 5 years. We're in an industry where job hopping is the name of the game, and people do that to boost their salaries. But it says something when I've stayed there for 5 years. They know that, I can get along with people, that I have good working relationships. And a lot of those people will actually give me business, So, and again, it's all about relationships. So.
Thank you. Yetta.
Yes, so I think that I agree with Andrea. I think we have the same school of thought. I haven't taken a lot of time to compare myself to what was out there to my specific unique services that I can offer. I have also been a coordinator. I've been a senior coordinator, a manager, and a director at the site level. So I really utilize that experience to help me when I'm going into a site that I don't know the people that I'm working with. And I need to get to know them. I need to get into the inner workings of what they're doing, and whatever my objective is while I'm at the site is whether it's audit, prep, closeout, or helping them to begin to network and set up a foundation for their site. I utilize the tools that I've learned and have experienced over my career in order to establish those. I also offer different services. So I offer remote services where I can be a phone call away if something comes up. I offer on-site services. So I do have clients in across the Eastern Seaboard that I have worked with where I've actually gone on site and spent time with them on site and then done remote work. So, with a different scope of services, it kind of helps to figure out how I can utilize that. What I really want to tap into now is the time that I've spent really focused on diversity and recruiting diverse populations. As we know, the FDA just sent out guidance, and then they sent out guidance again this year. So I think that with moving forward with that, it's definitely an interest level for me. And it's an interest level for me to see how can we help the sites? What can we do at the site level to really accomplish the goals of having more people, across all levels. So not only the patients, but the staff, the PIs, as well as all the way to the scientists and the people working in the lab who fall into those different diverse cultures. And so that's really kind of where I'm taking my focus and really kind of looking at what I can offer, not only, just site setup or, site operations, but also how I can lend that information to the other side of clinical research, as I like to call it, when we talk about sponsors and CROs and things like that.
Okay, so my understanding that it's important to find a need, find, like, if someone has a problem, being able to be there and being able to help, especially like with the site and having tunnel vision, especially with what Andrea was saying, don't worry about what someone else, don't look at your right and look at your left, just keep focused straight ahead, especially when you are embarking on your journey. I think it's important to focus on your goals and your plans and what you want to do, especially in the clinical research industry. So thank you, ladies, so much. I'm going to hand it off to Andrika.
Hello again. So as an entrepreneur, we all hear of the stories of challenges that we face. So what has been some of the biggest challenges you faced so far as a clinical research entrepreneur? Andrea, please.
Sure. Myself. I am my own worst enemy. Imposter syndrome. So you'll hear a lot of people talk about imposter syndrome, no matter what they look like, what their background is. Imposter syndrome, self-doubt, I've kind of touched on it before in this call. But how I overcome that is I have a good relationship with God, my faith.
Mm-hmm.
I have a therapist, who I can have I'm not a big crier, but I will cry on her couch. In a strong network of mentors and friends. And again, it's about those relationships. And then also there are those tough decisions. So I can have difficult clients. I have difficult clients. And so you have to decide whether you're going to walk away or you're going to work your way through it. Can it be something that's resolved? My mentor once said to me, it's easier to keep a client than to get a client. And so I really take that to heart and think about, not rushing decisions, not acting impulsively, just really thinking and really being strategic about how I move. So those are the two big things that come to mind as far as challenges go.
Great, thank you. I love that you spoke about therapy as well. I'm there every Monday at 2 o'clock. Don't bother me because that's where I am. How about you, Kenyatta? What has been a big challenge for you and how have you overcome that?
I think one of the biggest challenges is, or has been, working at the site level, and having to deliver, bad news, or, news that maybe they weren't expecting to hear. Like maybe the problem was a little bigger than thought, or maybe they needed to take it on from a different perspective. We all know working with docs, MDs, whether they're CEOs or VPs, whatever position they may hold, can be a little challenging. And so that has been like one of my larger challenges. And so I kind of deal with that more specifically, and think about that person and think about the conversation, and how I would feel if someone was coming into a site to tell me this information. So I really focus on that. But as far as myself, I try to really do self-care, and I'm a people person. So I just make sure that I can be people-y whenever I need to be, and then not when I don't, because I am a Pisces as well. So I like that alone time, but I also like the people-y part. And so just really kind of dissecting when that is. And then also building a network, keeping in touch with people who have similar mindsets as me. Not really, this is a challenge, but I'm still working on it, but connecting with people. And then once I connect with them, to try to keep some kind of communication going, because oftentimes I am really a believer of it takes a village and each one teach one. A lot of times I can get advice or get guidance, like from a mentor, or even from someone that I've worked with or someone that I've encountered. And so that is very helpful to me as well.
Great, thank you. All very important things. So you kind of touched upon mindset just now. So what is the mindset you feel like you need to have to thrive as an entrepreneur in this particular space? Kenyatta.
I think you have to have a mindset of determination and flexibility. You have to be determined to meet your own goals, and you have to be strategic about it and set those goals and know what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And then you have to jump. And then you have to be flexible. I totally agree with what Andrea said, that one of her mentors said it's easier to keep a client than get one. Sometimes that can be a challenge depending on the market, depending on, industry changes, what's coming out, what's up and new. Like there are so many things that can change in this industry very quickly. So it can be challenging to sometimes find new clients at different time points. So I think it's important to just continue to build on that and really look at what you have, and think about how flexible you can be, bend, don't break, but really figure out what that bending looks like versus what that breaking looks like.
Excellent, thank you. Andrea, I'm assuming you're a Pisces too, because I saw you give a thumbs up. I don't know.
Yes, so my birthday was it Sunday? It was Sunday. No.
Oh, well.
People late.
Wait,
the 12th, yeah. Yeah.
I was gonna say you forgot your birthday.
Yeah, I get confused at what day of the week it is. So it was Sunday,
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
March 12th.
Pisces ladies, so do you have anything to add about the certain mindset you feel like someone should have?
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with Kenyatta. So I think a growth mindset and abundance mindset are so very important. Scarcity says that you don't have enough, you're constantly complaining, but an abundance mindset says that you have enough. If you are constantly in gratitude, you can't complain, I woke up today, I have a roof over my head, there's a lot that we can be grateful for, but also being solution oriented. You're a consultant, you're supposed to be the expert. So people are coming to me for the solution, not the complaint. People will complain in front of me because we have that level of comfort, but I don't jump on the complain train. I'm like, okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get back to the solution. I don't do it condescendingly, but I try to redirect them to the solution. But yeah, so I definitely agree with everything that Kenyatta said, is that, it's all about, being flexible, being in growth, staying in abundance. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. I hope you all are taking notes in the chat. Take some notes, please. So next, if you're going into entrepreneurship, you're kind of afraid of how you're going to obtain that first client. Like, who's going to be your first client? Who's going to, take a chance on you? So tell me, how difficult or not so difficult it was for you to land your first client. Andrea, please.
Sure. So I formed my LLC in May of 2020, when things were just getting hectic with the pandemic. I didn't take my first client. I consider the LLC like a little person. I sat it over in the corner and didn't really touch it. It was just there. And then around November of 2020, that's when I decided to explore branching out, like really explore, like got on LinkedIn. Bunch of people that I saw were doing independent CRA work, talked to my therapist, really talked to some friends, really sat there and really about it. But I did not have trouble landing the contract. I had trouble making the decision to take the contract. So yeah, so I think sometimes timing is really important. I'm not sure what's going on with the market right now. It seems like things are a little wonky, a little slow, a little timid. There's one CRO's laying off people, one CRO was doing this. So timing is very important. And that's just life.
Yeah.
That really is just life. That is the market. We know it's going to go up. We know it's going to go down. So just prepare yourself.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that in terms of consulting, that when we are affected in the big companies, you all are also affected. So that's good to know. How about you, Kenyatta? How difficult or not so difficult was it for you to get your first client?
I'm gonna say it was a little difficult, only because I felt like I needed to. Again, I'm a planner. I need like A, B, and C as a workaround, and so I did not want to, or didn't feel comfortable or confident enough to leave my full-time job to which I had always done. Always had a full-time job. I was a little hesitant about that, but honestly, my husband, my partner, really helps me to step into that space. But I think that what was most helpful was my network. My first really big client that I was like, okay, I can go ahead and I can jump out there, came from another group that I work with. And so they connected me to a site that needed help out of DC, and they needed it urgently. And they were very flexible with me traveling to the site, staying there for weeks at a time, and then coming home and going back and forth, doing work remote, which really kind of gave me an idea of how this could actually really be done. And then and at first the objective was to get them audit ready. They were expecting an FDA audit. And then it turned into me helping them hire people, onboarding people, training new coordinators. So that was really the first client that I got. The second client that I got was my previous employer. And so that was obviously a little easier. So that first one, I think, and I say it was kind of 50-50 because that's what really made me think I need to do this full time. I can't do this part time and do a job full time. Like, that's not going to work. That's not where their needs are. And so that really kind of made me think I'm going to jump out there and do this. So
excellent. I like that your previous employer was one of your clients. I think sometimes when we decide to become entrepreneurs, we feel like we're going to have other competition, or the larger employers aren't going to, be so happy about it, but they were one of your clients. That is excellent. That means that you built a great relationship with them as well. Very important. Do not burn bridges in clinical research. We all work with each other. at another company, at another position sometime down the line. Actually, I have another question that is kind of off topic here, but I was thinking as you guys were talking, when you're an entrepreneur, you no longer have, I guess, the benefits that these larger institutions provide. So I was wondering, how do you navigate that? And sorry if this is sort of off guard. Kenyatta.
No problem. That's a real question. And it's real for me because I am a severe, persistent, allergic asthmatic. I have asthma attacks every day. I jumped up right before the call because I didn't have my inhaler right next to me and I was coughing. So I take that very seriously because I need medication every day to survive and thrive. And so what I did was I went and secured my own insurance because I can't be without insurance. And I went through an insurance broker from another consultant that I know in my network that actually does more academic research. She referred me to this particular broker. And so I was able to switch right over to a PPO like I just had. And I basically out of pocket was paying what I was paying as, which of course a PPO is much more than an HMO, but out of pocket, it wasn't that much of an increase of what I had previously been paying. But I do think that that's very important. And especially for growth opportunities, I would like to grow one day and be able to have employees. I'm definitely not at that point now, although I would love to jump on and do that. And I think that it's important, obviously, if I was an employer, I would have to offer benefits because, again, my own personal experience. So
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. Do you have anything to add, Andrea?
Oh, I would just agree with her because one of the key things that held me up was figuring out how I was going to exist without health insurance. And I just knew I couldn't. I've worked for hospitals and corporations, always had great insurance.
Excellent.
Like, how do I navigate the world? But like Kenyatta mentioned, somebody in my network, an entrepreneur herself, actually gave me the name of her insurance broker and had secured insurance within like maybe 24 to 48 hours after making the decision to leave my job, and the rest is history. And I now refer him to other people that are thinking about stepping out on their own. So
excellent. Thank you so much for that extra information. I'm going to pass it off to Courtney. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. So, well, that's great that you were able to kind of help another friend with the networking piece. And that's a major thing that I personally have found is important in the corporate world and specifically in clinical research since I began. And so one of the things that we just were talking about was health, staying healthy and keeping ourselves able to work and to continue to consult with these companies that you all are working for. And so in keeping yourself healthy, as well as having the right insurance, how do you all keep your work-life balance equal? What do you do for yourselves to say, I've done a good job today, I can take a break? Kenyatta?
That's good. Well, in reality, I promote self-care. As you know, as being a previous leader, I always promoted self-care and definitely, wanted my team to be at a point where they felt like they could put their self-care first. And so while I have neglected to do that in the past, I think that becoming an entrepreneur really helped me realize that I had to put my healthcare and myself and my self-care first, because if I didn't, then who else would I have to depend on, right? So it kind of put that in perspective for me where, I may work 12 hours when I was working for my employer. When I moved over to working for myself, I just made sure that I set steady goals that, you know, okay, I'm going to accomplish this, or, you know, Kenyatta, you've been sitting in front of this computer for 5 hours. You know, it's time to get up, move around, especially with work from home. When you're working from home, sometimes you can just dive right into that project and look up and you're like, oh, lunch is gone, breakfast is gone. Like, I haven't even eaten anything today. So we were talking about that before the call when it was just us, like, how do we, you know, get that food in when we're Zooming all day or all night. But really, I just have different checkpoints for myself and I try to adhere to those. You know, small things like I'm not an electronical kind of person, but I do have an Apple Watch, and when it tells me to stand up, I stand up. When it tells me you've been sitting too long, I try to move around. And it's just the simple things like that that I build upon, you know, that really help me. And I don't necessarily say when I accomplish this, I'll stop, but maybe have a goal of saying, I would like to at least get started, get these thoughts out, and then, you know, take a break or something like that. And then also not to feel so connected to my computer at the hip, to where I can get up and go to Target, which we also talked about, like getting up, getting outside. I live in a really great neighborhood where there's all kind of stuff right up the street. So I try to stop myself and consciously walk to do something. But it is a struggle. I'm not going to pretend like I have it all together in that respect. Is kind of like that work-life balance, but I definitely continue to work on it.
Nice. Andrea?
Yeah, so I will second everything that Kenyatta said. So I really do invest in my health. You know, I mentioned my therapist. I've been rocking with her for about 6 years now. I've also invested in a personal trainer, you know, because I just take notes from what the people who have what I want are doing. So they wake up early, they go to the gym, you know, they get that extra stress, that extra energy out. A body in motion stays in motion. I spend quality time. Quality time is one of my love languages. So I make sure that my friends, you know, if we're all in the same place, we're going to try to get together, whether it's brunch, a movie, or just hanging out. So yeah, that's kind of how I invest in my personal care. I also have a membership for massages, and I'm behind, so I've missed the last couple of months due to travel. That's one of the other things that I have to talk about, is that it's hard to keep a routine when you're traveling. It's a lot of wear and tear. That's also why the CRA salary can be boosted so much, is because there is wear and tear on your body. And actually, I've decided to pursue a project management role now that I have a PMP. Like, I want to be at home just a little bit more, so that I can work on personal goals. So you have to just weigh your priorities and change them and shift them when necessary. So.
Right.
Also add that, you know, as far as health, I definitely, I've been, over the past year, I have been going to acupuncture and doing a lot of holistic health. And it has really been instrumental in everything. I had a knee replacement about 2 years ago. And so that was very helpful with dealing with the pain that persisted. And then, which is better now, I don't have it anymore. And then also it just helps with my asthma, stress. Acupuncture works on everything. I mean, sometimes it's almost like a psychotherapy session, because I'm telling him everything that's wrong with my body, and then he's working on my body based off of the things that I'm saying. So holistic health, while I definitely submit to Western medicine as well, of course, I'm a clinical researcher, I also like the holistic health approach, herbs and a natural approach to things as well. And I go to acupuncture every week.
I love that so much. I am a firm believer in holistic health as well. Like, when I speak to people about what I do, I say I want to bridge the gap between Western and Eastern medicine. And so that is really where we should be focusing on. And it starts with us, you know, because we can be the first ones to say, yes, this does truly work. And this is what it does for me. And this is what helps me to continue on to help these companies, research and do these things that will help us with the diseases that we want to get rid of. So that is amazing. I love that. I love that you all are both really taking care of yourselves. And so one thing that you mentioned about working and, sometimes losing track of time because you get so focused on certain things that your clients are needing. How do you all stay up to date with certain regulatory requirements? Andrea?
So I will say that I am not the best with staying up to date. I am often just busy getting the work done, trying to keep my head above water. But one of the things that I do is networking, have conversations, one-on-one conversations with people in my network who are likely to be more up to date. Also, there are organizations. So there's SOCRA, there's ACRP. I recently joined Research Quality Association based in the UK because I want to start moving into quality assurance as well, exploring that as a career path. So those conferences, certifications, those are great ways to stay up to date. Also, use a search engine search. You can program Google alerts to keep you up to date with what's going on in the industry, different organizations, different policies and whatnot. So.
Nice. Kenyatta, any advice?
Ditto on everything Andrea said, as well as I do get a lot of information from ACRP and also from SCRS. I tend to sign up. I'm a nerd in that way for like the alert emails, like FDA Spotlight. When things are changing, and there's a multitude of other ones that I can't think of, but that I sign up for, and I just get email alerts, and that is helpful as well, because then that might lead me down a path to do additional research about whatever that particular topic is. It can be difficult at the site level, or even if you're working for like a CRO or a sponsor, if you are focused specifically on something, to get information about updates regarding regulatory that you may need, or regulatory compliance, quality assurance, or quality control. But what I find is that networking and conversations kind of lead you down that path to at least open up the conversation so that what those changes are about. And then later you can do your own research and kind of fill yourself in on what you may have missed out on. But I love regulatory, like that's one of my favorite parts of research. And so I try to stay as abreast as possible.
Nice. Thank you all. And those resources, again, some that were mentioned, SCRS, ACRP, any group that you can join that is connected with clinical research, there are all great resources. Of course, Google Alerts, all these things. Your friends, Black women in clinical research, Black men in clinical research, Black minorities in clinical research. It's all out there. We're all talking about this stuff all day, every day. So join in on the conversations. A lot of those groups have been mentioned in the chat. So please do your Google searches, join these groups, attend these conferences, attend the summits. There's one coming up next month. I hope to see you guys there. That's where I met you, Kenyatta. I'm super excited to go again. So to wrap things up, so we can kind of have time left for questions from the crowd if they want. Is there any other advice that you would give to anyone that is interested in starting their own consulting business? And any one of you can go.
I'll go. I usually steer clear of giving advice. There are very few things I'm an expert at, but I would say that really hone in on what it is you enjoy and what you like and what you're interested in, and then kind of move around in that space and really set up, checkpoints and goals for yourself to research, what does it look like to work for myself? Maybe find in your network or outside of your network, find someone that you can talk to that is doing it, so that you can see if it's even feasible for what it is that you're thinking about. And then lastly, I would say just make sure that you prepare yourself in a financial way, in a mental, physical, emotional way, so that you will be prepared for the ups and downs that you may experience. Hopefully not, hopefully they will all be ups and you'll take off running. But if not, to really be prepared for those things and to really, take it back to the basics. I'm not saying write out a business plan so that you could go present it to a bank for funding, but write out a business plan and really, look at that plan and see what holes are missing. What do you need to add? What information can you find? What resources do you have? And then not only that, but in your network, how you can network with people to grow your business.
Nice, thank you. Andrea?
Yeah, that's great. So we really do think alike as Pisces. So I wrote out some little answers, and I 3 things that I would advise people. They're very general and they're just basic universal principles on how to be the best you. The first one is work on building your expertise in whatever you choose to pursue. Ask for stretch tasks at work. Hone in your professional skills, your professional demeanor, because again, this is a relationship business. I think life is all about relationships, to be honest. Next, work on your personal growth and personal development. So the physical, the spiritual, the emotional, the mental. So we talked a lot about therapy and our health and physicality, and of course the financial piece. And then of course, build your network, mentors. So one of my very first managers had me to select a mentor, and it wasn't even a formal or official mentorship, but I just observed that person. How do they move? How do they interact with other people? How do they do their job? Were they there late? Were they come in late or come in early? So just observe those people that you admire, but then also try to form some formal mentorship relationships. And really, as a mentee, you will be the person that drives that relationship. I had a mentor at Covance, and I didn't really utilize her. And I saw other people, moving ahead of me in their careers. It's because they were engaged, actively engaging that mentor, and so they reap the benefits of that. So those are the 3 things that I would advise people to do: build their expertise, work on their personal growth and development, and then build their networks.
That is awesome advice. Awesome, awesome, awesome advice. And of course, as usual, we always end with networking is always going to be one of your most important things in any career path, but particularly in clinical research, because even though it is a large field, it is still a small field. You are always going to run into someone who knows you. And so keep those doors open, keep those bridges built tight, steady, sturdy, and let's rock it like we've been doing. I love this conversation. So I'm going to turn it back over to Danielle. Thank you for your time. Thank you for answering my questions. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, I've been taking notes too, because I always feel like you guys have helped me. I know now I need to go sign up for some acupuncture, because it sounds like it has definitely been a game changer. And you guys are absolutely correct. A lot of times with being an entrepreneur, you don't always take care of yourself, and it's important to take care of yourself. And that's something that I struggle with, because I'm wearing so many hats and I'm trying to do so many things that sometimes, self-care and things that I need to do kind of fall because I'm trying to accomplish something. So I am listening to your information as well. Please believe that you ladies are helping me also. I'm over here like, let me write this down. I'm like, I'm about to go get some massages. And I know ladies said that you guys are Pisces. So happy. Kenyatta, did you say when your birthday was?
It was, I'm a February Pisces.
Okay, well,
February 20th.
Oh, well, happy belated birthday. So I have family members. My sister's a Pisces. My best friend is a Pisces. So I just, I definitely want to make sure that I tell you ladies, happy belated birthday. But I do want to let you guys know that Aries is coming through. Okay. I'm just being funny. Okay, so let's go ahead and start these questions. If anyone has any questions, please take yourself off of mute, put the questions in the chat. Oh, okay, that was quick. I am currently a senior who is majoring in biology, and I would love to transition into clinical research industry. Do you all have any advice for people looking to move into the industry?
So I know there's different pathways. I'll just tell you a little bit about my pathway, my entryway. I started at the site level, working as a study coordinator at one of the major hospitals in the area. So wherever you are, start looking at those hospitals and look for clinical research coordinator positions. That would be my advice.
I definitely would have the same advice, and don't leave out sites, like individual sites as well. I started at the site level as well, and I'm still at the site level in essence because I work with sites. But definitely look at that, but then also educate yourself. If there's a training that you can take, or there's additional information or a small certification you can take to really get an understanding of clinical research, of the basics, like the phases and what has to happen in this country for FDA approval of new drugs and devices, like just really the basics, that will take you a long way. You already will have your, degree in biology, which will also be very helpful, but really kind of educate yourself about clinical trials themselves so that you can get a better understanding, and you can kind of go into the interview or go into interviews talking to folks, really understanding what it is that you need to accomplish. Again, I'm just really big on education. So I think that that is a successful pathway.
And to add to that, you'll be able to use that information in your interview, and that will help you stand out.
So we also have another question as well. They would like to know, are you stacking jobs or are you doing one contract at a time? If anyone would like to answer.
Okay, so probably the first independent CRA I met said that you always want to have more than one contract, because one project could stall, but it could be caught up with the FDA or something else, or maybe they don't really have the work for you to do, and then you're kind of up the creek without a paddle. So I definitely have multiple contracts, but I'm able to manage them. You don't want to overdo it, right? So you want to be able to function and do your job well, but it's really about striking the right balance. And I was just talking to somebody today about maybe switching out one contract for another. So
I definitely agree. I don't know about stacking them, but I definitely say stagger them, in the sense that you want to make sure that you have something going on, but you're not overwhelmed, and never give 100% of your time. So whether you are staggering your clients so that you are, this is a 30% job, this is a 10% job, this one's going to take 70% of my time. Always leave something open, because if you don't leave room to have a percentage of your time open, then you will not grow. So that was something that I learned very early on. In offering my on-demand services, I had to get a little more specific and say, yes, I can be on demand to you, but not necessarily on demand to jump on a call right now, which I was getting a lot of, like, can you jump on now? Can you get on now? And I'm like, no, I can't, but I can answer questions. So really make sure that you don't ever 100% monopolize your time, because you need at least 5, 10, 15% of free time in order to grow. Because how will you take on another client if 100% of your time is booked with 10 clients or one client?
And she just taught me something. Thank you, Kenyatta.
I'll say, so it sounds like it's important not to have all of your eggs in one basket, especially, with being a clinical research consultant. So I'm seeing questions in the chat. These questions don't seem geared towards clinical research consulting. So if you have specific questions where you would like for someone to help you with your own personal journey, I would suggest going to bwicr.com and signing up for our career coaching. So I'm just going to focus on the questions that deal with the clinical research consulting, but please, I'll put that information in the chat if you would like a career coach, because the questions that I'm seeing in the chat, I honestly believe would need someone to look further into, like, as far as a career coach. But this is one question that we have. How are you using LinkedIn to market yourself?
I'll go first because I have not spent a lot of time marketing my business. Unfortunately, I haven't had the bandwidth to do that. That's how I learned the lesson of you need time in order to grow. So it was actually a lesson learned. And then as I talked to a mentor, they explained to me what that process actually looks like. Marketing is something that I'm up and developing. So I have a website under construction. I have my LinkedIn under construction behind the scenes. So it is there. But I will also then have another page so that my business is there and things like that. But honestly, I really look to grow the marketing more. And I honestly, in order to do that, am going to utilize Black women in clinical research and really have a session so that someone else can kind of take a look at that. It's okay if you're not an expert at everything. And I'm definitely not a marketing expert. I'm intrigued by the marketing psychology behind it, but I'm not an expert. So I need someone else to put eyes on what I have and what I know that is successful and that will work, and make it more successful through marketing.
That is good advice. So we have another question. What is the billing process like? How are you invoicing your clients?
So that's typically outlined in the contract agreement. So for most of mine, every month I bill them, and then they pay almost immediately or within 30 days. But that's really just how you do that. And then some require you submit time like you would if you were working for a CRO or hospital or some other institution. So it just really depends, varies.
I definitely agree with that. I have a contract. What I do in my contract is I charge an hourly wage. I haven't had anyone ask for me to account for every hour, only because sometimes I've been on site, sometimes I haven't, but I have an hourly rate. And then I do create a plan for each individual client that specifically talks about what I will be doing within that particular scope of service for them. I have a general one, but then I do one for each client. And then I also ask for a deposit up front. There are a lot of people who want to start clinical research sites, but don't know where to start. And so you'll find yourself, well, I have found myself on multiple calls with people or doing multiple research or work and getting back to them. And we've really already started, but I hadn't actually been paid for that time. So that's what the deposit is basically for, and it's included in the contract. And then let's just say if they give me 10 hours of pay up front as part of that deposit, and I only work like 2 or 3 hours before the actual contract takes place, then I go ahead and add those hours back on the back end. And I will work those hours or either deduct them from payments that I give. And I usually invoice about every month. It's about every 30 days, depending on the project.
And this will be the last question that we have. Faith asks, how would you define the difference between an independent contractor and a consultant? Once you have employees, will they also be independent consultants just representing your firm? Ingetta?
Absolutely. How would you define an independent contractor versus a consultant? I have not done independent contracting work, so I can't specifically say what that looks like in this realm, but I would assume that it would mean that you are not an employee of that particular facility and that they would pay you separately. And that would be the huge distinction. But the difference also with a consultant is I like to tell my clients, I'm working with you, not necessarily for you. So there are, sometimes there are different stipulations when that comes about. Again, like not being available 24/7, unless it's like an emergent situation, which I can't imagine. But if there was, like the FDA walked in, that would be emergent. Then, of course, I would make myself available. But as a consultant, I am there to help better or improve or to fix what you have, or to help start up versus just keeping you going. And sometimes I think independent contractors kind of jump into the middle of work and kind of work it through. So that's really the only difference that I see. And yes, one day when I hope to have employees, that comes with a lot of liability. So I will take my time with it. But one day when I hope to have employees, I will expect for them to be, in essence, probably to start independent contractors, but I'm hopeful that I'll be able to have the support and backing to be able to just hire them as employees and eventually move to a C corporation.
Yeah, I agree with everything she said. Like, you're there to, as a consultant, you're there to give them ideas, to start it, to fix it. You're not just there to just fill a place, fill a role that's already up and running. You're there to help them expand and to build. So
Thank you. I want to be conscious of everyone's time. I know we are over, so I'm just going to do a recap, and if there's anything else that you ladies would like to add before we leave. I think it's important, especially with being an entrepreneur and from our conversation, to step out on faith. Therapy is very important. Your mental health, just being an entrepreneur, you have to take care of yourself. And, a lot of times with being an entrepreneur, just because you have a heart to help everyone else, but a lot of times you have to self-reflect and to put yourself first and to set goals. And we talked about having, I like your quote that you had, Andrea, a body in motion stays in motion. So just making sure that, you are present. It's so easy to get caught up when you are an entrepreneur in your work, but being active, breaking the routine, and just making it a norm for yourself. And like you were saying, Kenyatta, with your watch, if it goes off, it tells you, to get up, shake things up. It's okay. You don't always have to go like a specific routine, but to just make entrepreneur fun in your own way. And I'm inspired now because I'm really serious about this acupuncture. One of the members sent me Black acupuncture, so I'm gonna look that up as well. But we talked about personal growth and having building your network and how important networking is. I think a lot of times, and I was talking to someone else, and they said that a lot of times, Black women especially, we're behind in the networking realm, because that's not something that has been, someone hasn't told us how important networking is. And because a lot of other people, you always see, like we were saying before, having that mentorship, being able to network, it can help you take your career to the next level. So I encourage anyone and everyone here that if you have not started networking on LinkedIn, attending these conferences and summits, to start doing it now, because you never know, who's in the room and who can help you and who can help you grow. Like, I never knew, Kenyatta and I hadn't talked since we sat down and had breakfast. I never knew that I inspired her, to do this. And so you never know that conversation that you have, taking that time to talk to someone, how it can change someone's life. So being able to network and to tell your story and what you're interested in. I know a lot of times it can be scary, entrepreneurship, having your own business, but it's worth it. And, I'm extremely proud of you ladies for sharing your journey and your story. And I want to thank, my co-hosts as well, Courtney and Andrika, this has been amazing. I hope everyone has taken great notes, and I put Andrea and Kenyetta's information, their LinkedIn information in the chat. So if you want to talk further with them about being a consultant, I'm sure, I know them personally, they will respond to you. This is not about gatekeeping. We want everyone to win. There's enough opportunity in this industry. Even if you feel like you're doing the same thing as somebody else, there's so many people that need help, and it's okay to be a consultant and to reach out to people and ask for help. And so, did anyone else, Andrea or Kenyetta, did y'all have any last things that you would want to say to the members?
Yes, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you so much, Danielle, for this opportunity. I know I'm one of those people that keeps my head down. I'm not good at networking. I need to do better. But if you reach out to me, like she said, I will respond to you.
And I want to say thank you again, Danielle. We definitely, you sparked something in me when I met you, and I told you that. I told you, I think that, you're going to hit the ground running, and I'm here to support in any way I can, help, assist. And I mean that still. And please feel free to reach out to me. I will do my best to answer your question or give you a resource to help you get it answered if I can't answer it. And thank you all for the great questions, and it helps me to think about things differently as well.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm going to leave the chat up for a little while so that if you didn't get a chance to connect with people on LinkedIn, you have the opportunity to scroll through the chat and connect with people. So it's all about networking. So start networking now. So thank you, everyone. You have a great night.